Welcome to our channel. We share real stories that inspire and change lives. Today, we have a story about more than just success. It's about pain, hard times, strong will, and never giving up. This is the story of a poor boy. He had no money, no good house, and not enough food. He lost everything when he was young. He had no help, felt very alone, and went through many hard days. But he didn't give up. He walked for 2 years, traveling 470 kilometers with no money, no food, and no place to sleep. He walked through rain, hunger, and pain, but he kept going. That same boy later started the world's top luxury brand, Louis Vuitton. But how did he do it? How did a poor and hungry boy build a billion-dollar brand? How did he change pain into power and hard days into big success? This story is real, every part of it. Watch the full story to see how someone went from nothing to great success. And while you watch, you will also improve your English. This story is full of useful words, simple ideas, and true life lessons. It's a fun way to learn. Now, let's start from the beginning. In 1821, in a small village called Anchy, France, a baby boy was born. His name was Louis Vuitton. His family was very poor. From the start, life was very hard. His father, Xavier Vuitton, was a carpenter. He built things from wood. His mother, Corinne Gallard, made hats for women in the village. Both parents worked a lot, but they still had very little money. Louis lived in a small wooden house. The roof leaked, and the floor was cold. Winters were long and snowy. The house had no heat, no warm beds, and no blankets. The family used what little they had to survive. He quickly saw that life was not easy. He didn't have toys like rich kids. He didn't go to school. Instead, he helped his father. He carried heavy wood, hit nails with a hammer, and cleaned the floor. His hands were rough. His clothes were old, and he was often very hungry. But Louis was not like other kids. Even though he was poor and had very little, he had something special, a big dream. Every day, he saw travelers pass through his village. They wore nice clothes and carried big wooden suitcases. Louis was amazed. Where were they going? Who made those beautiful suitcases? He had never left his small village, but he wanted to see the world. He wanted to learn. He wanted a better life. But life gave him more pain. At age 10, his mother became very sick. There were no hospitals or doctors nearby. She got worse each day. One morning, she passed away. Louis stood at her grave. He didn't cry. His world had changed. His father was so sad that he stopped caring. He became cold and distant. Louis was now truly alone. But in that sad time, Louis made a promise to himself. He would not stay poor. He would not stay in that village. He would leave and follow his dream. But how? He was only 13 years old. He had no money, no horse, and no food. Paris was 470 kilometers away. It looked impossible. But Louis didn't think so. One night, while the village was quiet, Louis packed a small bag. He didn't have a map or any help, only a dream. He didn't tell his father or say goodbye. Before the sun came up, he left the village. He didn't know what was ahead. He didn't know where he would sleep or eat. But he knew he had to go. He walked for many hours, then for many days. His feet hurt. His body was tired. Sometimes kind people gave him food. Other times, he slept hungry under trees, using his bag as a pillow. He crossed forests, hills, and rivers. He worked in villages to earn food. Rain soaked his clothes. Cold winds hurt his skin. But he kept walking. He was very tired. He was very hungry. But he had strong hope. After 2 years, Louis finally reached Paris. But Paris was not what he thought it would be. The city was huge, full of people, carriages, and busy markets. The air smelled of bread, coffee and perfume. He had never seen anything like it. But Paris was not kind to poor people. The streets were full of beggars and hungry workers. Life was hard, and Louis had nothing, no home, no family, no job. He stood at the edge of the city. His clothes were torn. His feet bled from walking. His stomach hurt from hunger. That first night in Paris was very hard. He found an empty cart near a bakery and slept inside. The streets were loud. People shouted. Horses moved fast, and rats ran around. But Louis was too tired to care. He closed his eyes and slept. In the morning, he woke up hungry. He saw people buying fresh bread and buttery croissants. The smell made him feel sick with hunger. He had to find work. Louis went from shop to shop asking for a job. But no one wanted him. He had no skills. No one knew him. No one helped him. Paris was cruel to poor boys like him. Days passed. Louis got weaker. He ate old bread from the ground. His body hurt. His clothes were dirty. He felt very alone. But he did not give up. One evening, he saw a man carrying a large wooden box. It looked heavy. The man was tired. Louis quickly helped him. The man was surprised, but they lifted the box together. The shop they entered was amazing. It had many wooden boxes and suitcases, some with gold locks and leather. It was a workshop, a very fine one in Paris. The shop owner, Mr. Marichal, looked at Louis. "You're strong," he said. "What's your name?" "Louis Vuitton," he replied. "What do you want?" "I want a job," Louis said. "Can you make trunks?" Marichal asked. "No, sir," Louis answered. "But I can learn." The man laughed. "Everyone says that. But not everyone works hard." Louis stood tall. He didn't want to lose this chance. "Please give me a chance. I will work harder than anyone." The man waited a moment, then nodded. "Okay. Start tomorrow. No pay yet. You work, you learn. If you're good, we'll talk about money later." "Thank you, sir," Louis said. He got the job. But this was just the start. The next morning, Louis came early. The shop was cold. He smelled wood and glue. Tools were everywhere, hammers, saws, and needles for sewing leather. His first job was to clean the floor and bring tools. He didn't mind. He was happy to be inside. Weeks passed. He still only cleaned. But he wanted more. One evening, after everyone left, Louis stayed. He picked up some wood and practiced. He used the tools and copied what he saw during the day. The next morning, Mr. Marichal saw his work. He picked it up and looked closely. "Did you make this?" he asked. Louis nodded, feeling nervous. Marichal did not smile, but he also didn't say anything bad. "From now on, you stay after work. I'll teach you," he said. That night, Louis worked harder than ever before. He learned how to shape wood, how to choose the best leather, and how to stitch perfectly. He watched the other workers closely and remembered everything they did. Months turned into years. Louis was no longer just a helper. He was becoming a real craftsman. And soon, people started to notice. By the time Louis was 20 years old, his hands were not like a poor village boy's anymore. They were the hands of a skilled worker. He worked faster than the others, and his designs were more beautiful and correct. Rich people in Paris started asking for him by name. "I want Vuitton to make my trunk. He makes the best in Paris," they said. His name was becoming popular. He was not just a poor boy anymore. He was someone people respected. One day, a woman came into the shop. She wore a beautiful silk dress and pearl necklace. But her name was more important. She was Empress Eugenie, the wife of Napoleon III, the leader of France. She was not just rich, she was royal. Her dress shone under the bright lights. Her diamond earrings sparkled. She looked at the trunks, but didn't look impressed. Then she looked at Louis. Her eyes were sharp. "Are you the young man they call Vuitton?" she asked. Louis felt nervous. He had worked hard for many years, but he had never met someone like her. "Yes, Your Majesty," he said and bowed. She looked at him and then at Marichal. "I need a new trunk, but not a normal one," she said. "I travel a lot. My trunks are too heavy and hard to use. I want something light and elegant, something new." Louis had seen these problems before. Old trunks were big, round at the top, and hard to stack. They were covered with heavy leather. They were not made for modern travel. But Louis had a new idea. He stepped forward. His hands were shaking. "Your Majesty, what if I make a trunk that is flat on top and made of waterproof canvas?" he said. "It will be light, easy to carry, and strong for travel." Everyone was quiet. Marichal looked at Louis like he was crazy. No one had changed the way trunks were made. But the Empress looked interested. "A flat top? Canvas, not leather?" she asked. "That sounds interesting. Can you really do it?" Louis's heart was beating fast. "Yes, Your Majesty. I can make a trunk like no other," he said. She smiled a little. "Then do it, Vuitton. Show me." For many weeks, Louis worked day and night. He knew this was his big chance. First, he designed the frame. He used poplar wood, which was light but strong. Then, he made the top flat so the trunks could be stacked easily. But the biggest change was the material. Instead of leather, he used gray, waterproof canvas. It was light, strong, and clean-looking. Louis worked nonstop. His hands were sore. He missed meals. But he didn't give up. When the trunk was finished, it looked amazing. The canvas was smooth. The locks were shiny. The stitches were perfect. It was not just a trunk, it was a work of art. On the day he showed it to the Empress, Louis stood in her grand palace. Important people looked at him, not impressed by his simple clothes. The Empress walked in, her dress flowing. She looked at the trunk. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she touched it, checked the locks, and looked closely at the work. Finally, she looked at Louis. "Vuitton," she said, "this is amazing." Everyone started talking. Marichal looked shocked. "From now on," said the Empress, "you will make all my trunks." It was a big moment. Louis had earned the trust of the most powerful woman in France. Everything changed. The Empress's support was more than honor. It was a big chance. Suddenly, all the rich people in Paris wanted trunks from Louis. But there was a problem. Louis was still working for Marichal. He was still just a worker. He needed to be free. So after many years, Louis made a brave choice. He left the shop and started his own business. With the small money he saved, about $1,000 today, he rented a small place in Paris. It was simple, with only a few tools and a table. But it was his. Outside, he put a wooden sign, "Louis Vuitton, Trunk Maker." He was now a business owner. Running a business was very hard. The first months were tough. He had no workers, no big machines, no help. Every trunk was made by him alone. He worked from morning to night, eating very little. Then, something terrible happened. A big war started in France, the Franco-Prussian War. Paris was full of soldiers and fighting. Rich people left the city. Factories closed. People stopped buying expensive things. Louis's business, which was growing, suddenly stopped. No orders came. No money came. He was almost out of business. For months, Louis tried to keep working. He sold tools, used fewer materials, and worked harder. But it wasn't enough. If things didn't get better soon, he would lose everything. Then, something surprising happened. The war ended. Peace returned. People started traveling again. They wanted new things. And they remembered Louis Vuitton trunks. Orders came in fast. His shop, once empty, became busy again. But Louis didn't stop there. He built something bigger. In 1871, He opened a new workshop in Asnières, near Paris. It was 4 times bigger. He hired more workers, trained young people, and made new designs. His dream was now more than a shop. It was a growing company. At the same time, Louis's personal life changed too. He married Clemence Emily Perrose. She believed in him and supported his dream. They had a son named Georges. Later, Georges would help grow the business even more. But success had a price. Louis worked long hours. He spent nights in his shop. He missed time with his family because he wanted everything to be perfect. From the start, Louis knew one thing that most people didn't understand. To build a strong brand, you must sell to rich people. Why? Because rich people had power. They started fashion trends. When rich travelers used Vuitton trunks, everyone else wanted one too. Also, rich people didn't argue about price. They wanted special, handmade things. Louis never tried to sell to everyone. He focused on a few rich customers who paid high prices for the best work. And because of that, the Louis Vuitton brand became a symbol of style, luxury, and success. This plan worked really well. Soon, not just royal people, but also rich bankers, business people, and travelers wanted Louis Vuitton trunks. Having a Louis Vuitton trunk was not just for travel. It showed you were rich and special. Louis had built a big business. But in 1892, his life ended. He died and left the business to his son, Georges Vuitton. Before he died, Louis gave Georges one last message. He said, "Never sell cheap. Never sell to regular people. Our name must always mean the best. If the world changes, we must change too, but never lose what makes us special." Georges was young and full of energy. He wanted to grow the business even more. He made more than just travel trunks. He created handbags, toiletry bags, and fancy drink cases that changed the fashion world. As the company grew, people started copying Louis Vuitton. Fake bags and trunks appeared everywhere. Customers were being tricked. Georges had to act fast to protect the brand. In 1896, he created the LV logo to stop fakes. This logo made Louis Vuitton even more special and only for the rich. Under Georges, the company did not just survive. It became a leader in luxury fashion. But nothing lasts forever. Georges was getting older. The business was too big for one man. The world was changing quickly with cars, airplanes, and new fashion ideas. Georges worked hard for many years. He added leather handbags and other fancy items. He opened stores around the world and made sure LV stayed for the rich only. But in the 1930s, Georges had a big problem. His health was getting worse. Too much work and stress had made him sick. In 1936, Georges Vuitton died. This was a big moment. Who would run the company now? That's when Gaston Louis Vuitton, Georges' son, took over. Gaston had grown up in the world of Louis Vuitton. He had watched his father build the business. Now it was his turn. But the world had changed. The Great Depression had hurt many companies. Cars and airplanes were common, so people didn't use big trunks anymore. Also, fashion was changing. People wanted more than travel bags. Would Louis Vuitton stay strong? Gaston knew the business had to change. So he made brave choices. He made more than just travel bags. He added purses and small leather items. He also made new luxury handbags for everyday fashion. He played with new styles to keep Louis Vuitton fresh and stylish. But before he could do more, World War II began. This was a big danger. France was taken over by Nazi Germany. The country was in trouble. Many businesses closed and luxury shops were in danger. Gaston Louis had to decide, shut the company or keep going. To survive, Louis Vuitton worked with the French government controlled by the Germans. This was not talked about for many years. Later, People found out about this part of the story. Still, the company survived the war. After the war ended, Gaston worked hard to fix the company's image. This was not easy. Europe was poor, and few people wanted expensive bags. But Gaston believed something important. Rich people always stay rich. Even in hard times, the wealthy still want luxury. So, Louis Vuitton focused on very rich people, making high-quality products just for them. The plan worked. By the 1950s, Louis Vuitton was strong again. At this time, the company made some of its most famous bags like the Speedy bag, made for stylish women who were always busy. The Keep-All bag, a modern travel bag that looked good. The No bag, first made to carry champagne bottles in a fancy way. Louis Vuitton was no longer just about travel. It had become a fashion brand. But Gaston Louis was getting old. Who would take the company into the future? In the 1960s, Louis Vuitton was one of the best luxury brands. But the world was changing fast. New styles were appearing. More rich people were being made. There was more competition. Gaston Louis knew the company needed new ideas. So he asked his son-in-law, Henry Rackemeyer, to help. Henry was a smart businessman with big dreams. He wanted Louis Vuitton to grow even more. He had one big goal: make Louis Vuitton the most powerful luxury brand in the world. This decision changed everything. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Louis Vuitton was famous for its fancy bags and luggage. But it was still run like a small family company. The world was different now. If Louis Vuitton wanted to lead, it needed new plans and leadership. That's when Henry Rackemeyer took charge. Henry was not a designer or a normal businessman. He had a big vision. When he became the leader, he saw that Louis Vuitton was very special and could grow into a huge business. But there was a problem. At that time, Louis Vuitton only sold to a small group of rich people in Europe. It was respected, but not known all over the world. So, Henry made big changes that changed luxury forever. First, he sold in the richest places like the US, Japan, and the Middle East. Rich people there wanted luxury. Then he raised prices. Henry knew that when something costs a lot, people wanted more. Louis Vuitton bags became more than fashion. They were signs of wealth. He also changed the stores. Louis Vuitton shops became places of beauty and class. People got special treatment, like private rooms and champagne while shopping. But this was only the beginning. Louis Vuitton did not try to sell to everyone. The brand focused only on the richest people in the world, millionaires, celebrities, and royalty. That's why they made limited edition bags, rare leather items, and custom luxury pieces. Some of the most special LV items were
crocodile leather bags. These bags were made from real crocodile skin. They were rare and very expensive. Prices started at $50,000 and went up to $100,000 or more. Python and ostrich skin bags. These were made from rare animals too. They were like art, not just fashion. Luxury mini bars and cutlery bags. These were made for rich people to use on private jets and yachts. Some of them cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Strong travel trunks. These famous LV trunks were handmade and could cost $500,000 depending on what the customer wanted. But there was still one big problem. When a brand becomes too famous, fake copies often try to copy it. As more people wanted Louis Vuitton, fake LV bags started showing up. In the 1980s, fake Louis Vuitton bags were sold on streets in Paris, New York, and Tokyo. This was a big problem. If everyone had one, the real bags would not feel special anymore. Henry Rackemeyer did something big to stop this. Louis Vuitton started a huge fight against fake bags. They hired people to find and close fake bag factories. They also worked with governments to make new laws to stop fake goods. New security features were added to make the bags harder to copy. But Henry wanted more. He wanted Louis Vuitton to be more than just a bag brand. So, in 1987, he made a big move. He joined Louis Vuitton with Moët and Chandon, a champagne brand, and Hennessy, a cognac brand. This new group was called LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy. It was a smart idea. Now Louis Vuitton was part of the biggest luxury company. This new company owned many rich brands. It didn't just sell fashion, it also sold jewelry, makeup, and drinks. LVMH became the richest luxury company in the world. But Henry Racamire did not stay in charge for long. A new businessman named Bernard Arnault came in. Bernard wanted to lead LVMH. In 1989, he used strong business plans to take over the company. He made Henry leave and became the boss. Many people did not like this. But Bernard became the most powerful man in the fashion world. Once Bernard had control, he made the company even bigger. He sold products in China, Russia, and India. He also bought other luxury brands like Dior, Fendi, and Givenchy. LVMH became the top luxury group. Bernard also created very expensive items that cost millions. Today, under Bernard Arnault, LVMH is worth more than $500 billion. It is the richest luxury company in the world. Bernard is often called the richest man on earth, with over $200 billion. Today, Louis Vuitton means three things. First, it shows you are successful. Second, each item is made by the best workers by hand. Third, it is a sign of high status. From bags to mini bars, Louis Vuitton means luxury. After more than 170 years, Louis Vuitton is still the strongest luxury brand. And it all started with a young man named Louis Vuitton who had a dream. His story shows how hard work, smart ideas, and bold choices can lead to big success. He started as a poor boy from a small town. But he built the biggest luxury brand in the world. Every step, making trunks, handbags, and more, was done with care and class. Even with wars and hard times, the brand stayed strong. This is more than a company. It is a story. It is a legacy.